I am done, completely, utterly done. Watching hundreds of women put on pink shirts, hold hands, make heart signs with their fingers, and stand outside a courthouse chanting soft slogans for a woman who strangled her own 3 children has finished whatever scraps of faith in people I still had left again. Lindsay Clancy killed Cora, 5 years old. She killed Dawson, 3 years old. She killed Callan, 8 months old. She used exercise bands. She waited until her husband was out of the house. Then she jumped out a window, and somehow the big public response from a loud chunk of women is peace for Lindsay. She needed help. I could have been her. I could have been her. What the hell is wrong with you people? 3 children are dead. Their bodies were found in the basement. Their father came home to that nightmare and screamed into a 911 call that still makes your stomach turn if you hear it. And the energy online and outside the courthouse is going toward comforting the person who did it, not the dead kids, not the surviving parent who lost everything. The killer, because she was sad, because the medical system didn't hug her hard enough, because postpartum is hard. Postpartum is hard for millions of women who do not strangle their toddlers. Intrusive thoughts are common. Actually wrapping the band around a 5-year-old's neck and pulling is not. The gap between those two things is the size of the Grand Canyon, and somehow a whole crowd of adults is pretending it doesn't exist. I keep seeing the same line, I could have been Lindsay Clancy. No, you couldn't. Most of you had rough nights, cried in the bathroom, felt overwhelmed, maybe even had dark thoughts you were ashamed of. Then you put the baby down, called someone, took the meds, survived the day, and your children are still alive. That is the difference. That difference is everything. Collapsing it into, any of us could have done this, is not empathy. It is narcissism dressed up as solidarity. It is a way to center yourself in a tragedy that has nothing to do with your mild depression. It is also a way to avoid looking at the 3 small corpses. Easier to talk about your own feelings than about the fact that those kids will never grow up because their mother decided, in whatever state she was in, that they had to die. And then the conspiracy garbage. The husband did it. He framed her. He was neglectful. He remarried too fast, so he must be evil. Patrick Clancy publicly forgave her within days. He said she got sick. He sued the doctors with her. He testified. His alibi is on camera. The defense is not even claiming he did it. Lindsay's own lawyers accept she performed the acts. Yet a chunk of the same crowd that wants peace for Lindsay is busy inventing a frame-up so the story can still have a male villain. Because God forbid a woman did something monstrous without a man somehow being the real problem. The mental gymnastics required to look at a mother who killed her 3 kids and decide the real issue is her husband's brunch schedule or his new wife is Olympic-level delusion. It is also deeply revealing. Some of these people cannot accept female agency when it is dark. They need the narrative to stay clean. Woman equals victim, system, or man equals perpetrator. The children get erased in the process. This is not about denying mental illness. Postpartum psychosis is real. It is rare. It can be catastrophic. The legal system has an insanity defense for a reason. Argue the medical evidence in court. That is fine. What is not fine is turning the entire public conversation into a pity party for the killer while the victims become footnotes. What is not fine is the aesthetic of it, the coordinated pink, the prayer circles, the heart hands, the we believe you energy directed at a woman whose own hands ended 3 lives. It looks like a support group for the wrong person. It feels like a cult of selective compassion that only activates when the perpetrator fits a preferred identity category. I used to believe most people, underneath the noise, still knew what mattered. Protect the weak, mourn the dead, do not make the perpetrator the main character. Apparently a non-trivial number of adults no longer operate on that basic software. They will tell you they care about children while showing up to rally for someone who killed 3 of them. They will lecture about listening to women while ignoring the part where listening requires also hearing the irreversible harm. They will call you cold or anti-mental health if you point out that dead kids should rank higher than the mother's current suffering. The moral inversion is so complete that stating the obvious, 3 children were murdered by their mother, now feels like an act of aggression in some circles. This is how you lose faith in humanity, not because one woman had a psychotic break. Human beings break. That has always been true. You lose faith when the reaction from a visible group of people is to rearrange the entire moral furniture so the killer becomes the object of care, and the killed become inconvenient. You lose faith when identification with the perpetrator is treated as a virtue and insistence on the victim's primacy is treated as hardness of heart. You lose faith when grown adults need conspiracy theories to protect their preferred story about gender and power instead of simply saying, "This was horrific. The children are gone, the medical system may have failed," and none of that makes the Pink rally anything other than grotesque. Do not care how many times someone says, "We're not excusing it." The performance is the point. The shirts are the point. The refusal to let the children's names dominate the conversation is the point. If your solidarity requires soft focusing the strangulation of a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a baby, then your solidarity is worthless. It is emotional cosplay. It is therapy culture run amok until it cannot distinguish between ordinary female struggle and the destruction of 3 lives. Humanity is not a single thing. Most people are not outside that courthouse in pink. Most people are quietly horrified, but the ones who are loud, organized, and self-congratulatory about their compassion for the killer have made the public square feel alien. They have made it harder to believe that shared moral instincts still exist in any reliable form. They have turned a family annihilation into content for identity performance and mental health branding. And every time another "I could have been her" post appears, another piece of basic human decency gets thrown on the fire. That is why the faith is gone, not because monsters exist. Monsters have always existed. Because too many people have decided the polite, progressive, compassionate response to a mother who killed her children is to stand with the mother and call it justice, awareness, or sisterhood. It is none of those things. It is a failure of moral vision so complete that looking at it feels like watching a society forget what children are for. They are not props in your trauma narrative. They are not the acceptable cost of better postpartum care. They were Cora, Dawson, and Callan. They are dead. Everything else is noise.